This is the Plymouth MArch Programme Civic Industries Group video presentation. Just going to run you through some of the ideas behind our theories. So we started looking off at the context of Tottenham. We looked at the rising population, the areas of employment, the low value of land, and also Tottenham's relation to Greater London as a whole and the release of industrial land and how that was affecting the people. So we started gathering information. That involved a site visit. We talked to council representatives, we talked to stakeholders, community groups, as well as looking at the wealth of documentation surrounding it. We started mapping, we started modelling, and generally started to get an idea of the site for ourselves. We also looked at the soundings report, which was invaluable at telling us what the people of Tottenham thought that their area needed to improve, and we started to draft out how we thought initially those problems could be answered. It was interesting to look back on these now and seeing how it's kind of trickled down effect into our final proposal. Some things have become more prominent in our design, others not so much, but it was interesting to start us off with the design process of a integrated framework strategy. So from there we started developing our framework. We looked at the traditional industry, the amount of land it took up, and started to think of new solutions of vertical factories that could free up land, use small-scale industries as plug-in programs, and generally change the fabric of Tottenham. We started to think about industrial principles. We started off as cleaner and greener, transparent factory, local and small, living and working, and also vertical and dense. So we started developing these into small models that kind of gave us an idea of what each of these might entail in a spatial dimension. You can find more details about each of these in the urban strategy booklet, but generally it was to try and nail down what we thought was important for industry and what we thought could work within our model. So we started thinking as well about how these models can be enabled, how they would affect existing and emerging industries, and how they'd work in a vertical framework. We looked at the typology in the high road. We saw it as being quite successful in the mixed use, but we also thought that the programme of the Ashley Road industrial sites was suited the culture and heritage of Tottenham. So we came up with a proposal that allowed these elements to be extruded and maintain mixed use streetscape elements in low stories. So we took this programme and we thought about how it could possibly respond to immediate context, how it could respond to global conditions, and how this variety of functions could introduce interest into the block design, and something that's really lacking with single-use residential developments. We then looked at enabling the framework, how different stakeholders were connected, how they could share an integrated vision, how this vision could consolidate resources and knowledge, and these could be distributed to an integrated network of local businesses, forming a far more resilient model. The physical context obviously plays a huge part of how we identify site constraints and how we address these. So these were dealt with in a series of diagrams and mapping techniques. We looked at two case studies of one existing industry and one emerging industry that could possibly work in the new vertical urban factory framework. Lacetex Limited is a wholesale distributor of textiles, but we saw it as possibly working within the realms of education, allowing students to use offcuts from the manufacturing process to manufacture new fashion garments while still maintaining its use as a textiles retailer. We also saw an emerging industry being possible in biotechnology, with health levels being particularly low in Tottenham and childhood obesity being high. We saw this as being a kind of industry that could give back to the community and start to really develop change within the area. And this again works well within the vertical model. So we started to develop rules as to how we were going to work within the site. These really helped us as we started to think about block design, started to think about where and nodes, routes of transit, pedestrian routes, and what parts of the existing context that we would keep. So we started modelling, we started changing things around. We really wanted to get an idea of how the spaces would work within the site, and this resulted in the master plan that you see. We thought about how each space would possibly work within the master plan, how it would feel to walk. Particularly important was the idea that streetscape could be maintained while still keeping a high density model, and also for retention of community facilities are particularly important to the residents, while still being able to keep mixed use, predominantly industrial typology. We'd like to thank you for watching and hope that the urban strategy is useful for you.